Craig, it is mid-year 2025. Our market report is out. What have you been seeing throughout the first 2 quarters of this year?
Not the pandemic busyness that we've had over the last several years. Things have calmed down. We're back to normal, but we've been so busy for so long, I think we've kind of forgotten what normalcy is.
So with that normalcy, on paper, you see a higher vacancy rate of 9.5%.
We do.
So what is really driving that higher vacancy, and should that number be a trigger to anyone looking at the report?
I think the true drivers of the vacancy are the doubling of rental rates over the last 4 years, 3 years. We have a unprecedented amount of turnover of roll next year, lease expirations coming off of the 22 lease up during the pandemic. And what we're already hearing from some of those clients are, we took additional space back in 23, 22, and we may want to give some back next year, especially since the rents have gone up anywhere from 50 to 100% per square foot. So I do think we're going to see a slight uptick in vacancy continue for the next 12 months.
And speaking of renewals, so leasing activity for this quarter was actually stronger than last quarter. So last quarter we were at 9 million square feet inked. This quarter we're at 11 and a half. Now of that, about half are renewals.
Yep.
So fundamentals, it seems like leasing activity is still relatively healthy.
It is healthy, and I think the second half of this year we're going to see some companies make some moves towards taking additional square footage, some growth, some manufacturing. So I do see a lot of good things happening, but at the same time, you can have some of that roll coming off of the higher rental rates and give that back. So those two should balance each other out. And I kind of see our vacancy hovering very close to where we're at now.
And absorption-wise, so this quarter in Q2 is the first quarter in 2 years we're actually showing negative absorption for the quarter. A big driver in research that we're showing is there's actually 2 million square foot tenants that were supposed to take occupancy this quarter that didn't, so that'll be pushed for later in the year. But what do you think is really driving that negative net absorption? Is it tenants, like you said, who took space in 2020, 23 that no longer need it, that are vacating it, or is it tenants just leaving the Atlanta market?
It's a combination. You have some deliveries. We had a fair amount of deliveries in Q1, Q2. We don't have a lot coming behind. There is some buildings. The good news is not many people are building over 500. Most of it's 250K and below.
Yep.
And it's very calculated in what they're developing. So I think that's going to help the overall numbers.
And when it comes to under construction and development activity, we're currently at 5.5 million, which is probably the lowest we have ever tracked and maybe lowest market wide. Do you foresee developers kicking off projects?
There are a few developers bullish who are still out there developing. A lot of them have money. They have funds that they need to put the money to work, but they're being extremely selective in what they're developing. So I don't see that kicking up significantly unless the interest rates fall, the cap rates fall, and new development starts to get a little easier to pencil out.
At Lee, we track sublease availability month
Every
over
month.
month.
Yep.
We've been doing it for 18 to 24 months, and last month we actually saw the highest we've ever tracked since that. We're seeing these large tenants put their large spaces back on the market. Now, do you think this is a trend that will keep going, or is this really larger tenants adding space back up to the market?
I think it's an anomaly. The million square footer that hit right before the end of the quarter hurt. The good news is those are subleases. So the space is still rented. The landlords are still getting rent. For the most part, all these tenants are creditworthy tenants who will continue to pay the rent. Does it compete with the standing vacancy? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's not as important to the developers as it is to you and I.
Sure.
The Atlanta market is well positioned to lead the country in most stats. There's a number of reasons. The population growth in Atlanta is projected to continue for the next 20 plus years. The infrastructure that we have in place is phenomenal. The Port of Savannah is going to continue to grow. We just have everything good going for us. I mean, good weather, good education. So I think we're in a great position. I think Atlanta has the opportunity to lead the Southeast along with some of those markets in Florida as well.